The City of Bristol, providing beautiful parks, economic development, and a family-friendly community.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the February meeting of the Joint Board. I'd like to ask those of you who are able to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item on tonight's agenda is the approval of the minutes of the regular Joint Board meeting from January 9th. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. If all Joint Board members could just ensure that their microphones are turned on, please.
And Your Honor, can we just have the members introduce themselves?
Yes, that would be lovely. Starting on my far right.
John Smith, Board of Finance.
Mike Lamoth, Board of Finance.
Mike Freeney, Board of Finance.
Orlando Kelfi, Board of Finance. Peter Kelly, City Council.
Greg Hahn, City Council, First District.
Mary Fortier, City Council, 3rd District.
Dave Perleski, City Council, 2nd District.
Dave Mills, City Council, 3rd District.
Cheryl Tebow, Board of Finance.
Jake Carrier, Board of Finance.
Josh Maduro, City Council, District 1.
And I'm Mayor Ellen Zappo-Sasu. I'll turn the calling of the agenda over to our Town and City Clerk for the consent calendar.
There are 8 items. 2A is to transfer $9,500 within the Registrar of Voters operating budget for maintenance, supplies, and telephone. 2B is to make an additional appropriation of $79,596 within the Special Grants and Donations Fund funded by Code Enforcement Revenue. 2C is to make an additional appropriation of $19,092 within the Department of Aging's operating budget funded by Dial-A-Ride grant revenue. 2D is to transfer $8,000 within the Parks operating budget for motor vehicle parts. 2E is to make an additional appropriation of $679 within the Special Grants and Donations Fund funded by donations. 2F is to make an additional appropriation totaling $4,100 within the Special Grants and Donations Fund funded by donations for youth services. 2G is to make an additional appropriation totaling $60,931 within the general fund interdistrict cooperative grant funded by grant revenue. And 2H is to transfer $8,000 within the youth services operating budget from part-time to regular wages.
So moved.
Any discussion on the consent calendar or requests to pull items off? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 3 is to make an additional appropriation of $4,800 within the Community Development Block Grant Fund funded by a transfer in general fund for professional fees.
Motion to approve. Second.
Discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 4, to transfer $20,000 within the general fund, $10,000 from the general fund contingency account, and $10,000 from the library operating budget to operating transfer out special revenue.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 5 is to make an additional appropriation of $20,000 within the Special Grants and Donations Fund funded by a transfer in general fund for the city match of the Historic Preservation Grant application.
Move approval. Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 6 is to approve the resolution for appropriating $54,890,300 for the design of the upgrade and renovation of the Memorial Boulevard School as an interdistrict arts magnet school, and to waive the reading of the resolution, but to include it as part of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on the motion?
Yes, through the chair, please.
Yes.
A couple things on this motion that I just wanted to bring up as a reminder that a couple critical things about this, and we spoke at this at the Board of Finance, that this approves for another school to come online, and part of the feasibility study that is being commissioned by the Board of Ed that they are deliberating on, that they're reviewing, and they plan to have, from what we understand, to a vote in April, discusses the disposition of our current schools. It's important that we note that we can't, the operating budget does not afford for another full school to be coming on board without something to be done with the prior properties, and I just wanted to make that as a note of record. And secondly, that it's important that we have established a nonprofit for the running of the Boulevard Theater, and that some kind of agreement for the operation of that theater will need to be worked out should this school come to fruition. And I just wanted to mention those. Thank you.
Any other discussion on the motion?
Relative to the nonprofit, I understand that that's underway, and so the second thing to remember is even if the Board of Ed is still discussing this school, if constructed, would not go online probably for 2021 or thereabouts. So I think we have a significant amount of time to weigh that decision.
Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Need a roll call?
Did we waive the read? Can we waive that?
We waived the reading, but you'll take a roll call. That's
Okay. Starting on my far right.
Yes.
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 The chair votes yes. The resolution carries.
Item 7 is to approve the resolution for authorizing issuance of bonds or notes in the amount of $54,890,300 to finance the appropriation for the design of the upgrade and renovation of the Memorial Boulevard School as an interdistrict arts magnet school, and to waive the reading of the resolution, but to include it as part of the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion on this motion. Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote, starting on my far left.
Yes.
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 Chair votes yes. Motion carries.
Item 8 is to approve the resolution regarding the appropriation of $13,287,000 for the Memorial Boulevard Community Cultural Center Phase 1 project, and to waive the reading of the resolution, but to include it as part of the minutes.
Discussion on the motion?
Yes, Your Honor. Just for clarification, this is part of the $54 million, correct?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we will start with a roll call vote on my far right.
Yes.
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 And the chair votes yes. Motion carries.
And it's the monthly revenue and expense report of the controller.
Okay.
I'll get it right. Good evening. Said good afternoon earlier. So you have before you the financial report through the end of January, pretty much. Just a couple of things to highlight. Again, I know I mentioned this at the last meeting, that the tax revenues are still coming in very strong, thanks to the efforts of the tax collector. Licenses and permit fees are coming in a bit stronger than they had compared to the budget. We are currently at 95.4% of building permit fees, so the overall licenses, fees, and permits line item is 87% of budget. And then I did report last month as well that investment earnings are coming in very strong, so there's a little bit of an uptick in some of the interest rates that we've been able to get on some of the investments for the general fund. So the investments are coming in very well. I do want to just report there is one adjustment on the state grants that we did receive on ECS. Every year they do make an adjustment, and it's basically an adjustment based off of the prior year special ed actual expenditures. And there is an additional $114,000 that the city would be receiving. So if you remember, we also did receive a $250,000 reduction in ECS when the governor made his holdbacks. So this at least covers some of that. So the loss, that 250 is reduced by 114,000. So I thought that was some good news to report. On the expenditure side, there's not too much really to highlight. Some items you have had already approved on the joint board agenda. For the most part, all the salaries are at where they should be at this point. And I think I do want to just report, I know with this time of the year, with the winter, our snow overtime is actually at 56%. So hopefully we can, be okay with our snow budget for the rest of the winter. One thing I did want to mention, the audit presentation is scheduled for February 27th at the Board of Finance meeting, if anybody is interested in attending. That is the June 30th, 2017 audit that was filed in December, and the auditors will be here to just present and answer any questions that the Board of Finance may have. And also, the Banking and Audit Committee did vote to have the audit go out to bid again. So we will be soliciting proposals for a new auditor come July 1, for the July 1 year. I did want to talk a little bit about the governor's budget. He did release his numbers last week. Overall, the city, I just want to find my sheet. Overall, with all grants, including LoCIP, the city is set to gain about $240,000 above what we received in the current year. However, I will mention that the LoCIP grant is $311,000 reduction, and that is not a general fund grant. So the actual effect to the general fund is a gain of about $550,000 over this year. So I thought I would report on that for next year's budget. My office is right now in the process. I think we've gone through probably a little over a third of all of the budgets. They are meeting with me individually with all the departments, and the Board of Finance actually starts their first budget review next Tuesday, February 21st. So I think that's all I have to report. I don't know if anybody has any specific questions on anything that I can answer.
Are there any questions of the Controller regarding her report? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other business to come before the joint board tonight?
Yes, through the chair, please. On our last Board of Finance meeting, we had a presentation by Bloom Shapiro on the results of the operational controls assessment of the Board of Education. And although council was invited, some couldn't attend. So I wrote up a very extremely brief summary I'd like to just share, and also for general knowledge. So on January 23rd, the accounting firm of Bloom Shapiro presented the findings of the operational controls assessment of the Board of Education and made recommendations. After a review of spreadsheets, emails, and other miscellaneous documents and interviews, the team identified the following factors that contributed to the BOE, Board of Education deficit. To maintain a similar maintenance of effort dollar amount in special ed, which I'll call SPED in the rest of my reading here, negative budget figures were applied to the teacher salary instruction lines. Payroll was not encumbered. Payroll dollars are a significant cost on a monthly basis. The non-encumbered dollars inflated the true amount of funds available. Purchase requisitions were not processed in a timely fashion to encumber monies. Budget deficit warning signs were not aggressively pursued or evaluated. Limited ongoing communication existed between the Board of Education superintendent, business office manager, department heads or managers regarding concerns about budget issues. It appears that the Board of Education and the Board of Education Finance Committee lacked action on deficit warning signs. There was limited comprehensive training. Needs include budget, salaries, and payroll and SPED, and extensive and excessive budget transfers, especially in the last months of the fiscal year. Many positive, easy to implement recommendations were provided, and these recommendations were also detailed in the report, and they include training in application of process in the Munis software, specifically in the area of encumbering payroll, position control, and electronics personal action forms, use of contracts for every special education student and associated services with vendors, evaluate and analyze an analysis of special education invoices, improve procurement process for special education, hire an accountant to handle special education purchases, invoices, and contracts, develop a policy for approving budget transfers with an established threshold as to when the transfer needs full board approval, and improve transparency and communication with business manager office and SPED meeting frequency. As of today, improvements have already been seen, and one in the hiring of our new business manager, Jill Brown, for the Board of Education. She and City Comptroller Diane Waldron are willingly working together to forge a stronger, transparent relationship. Additionally, Blum had provided some rudimentary workflow analysis tools in their report. With these implemented changes and positive improvements in the district, I think we can hope to see a more involved communicative board, a more committed administrative staff, and a dramatic increase in community support for the district and its students. So thank you.
Just to make sure, everybody did receive the report, right? Everybody received this? Yes. Okay, just checking. Are there any other questions? Yes. We can't hear you.
Several of those recommendations have already been started. I don't know if Dr. Moreau
Correct.
would want to comment on that, just so everybody's on the same page here.
Well, I think those of us who have made an effort to go to all of the Board of Education finance subcommittees and have worked diligently with them over the last few months, I think we all realize that they've made many strides.
Okay.
Okay. Mom? Any other questions or concerns? Okay. Hearing none others, is there a motion to adjourn?
Move it.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned. We will be starting the regular meeting of the February City Council meeting at 7:05, which will give everybody about 3 minutes to get settled and bring up their new agendas. For those of you who may be interested in speaking before the City Council tonight, there is a sign-up form that is located in the hallway to my left, to the rear. Thank you. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the February meeting of the City Council. For those of you who are physically able to do so, please join us and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to now ask the members of the City Council to introduce themselves, starting on my far right.
Peter Kelly, District 2.
Greg Hahn, District 1.
Mary Fortier, District 3.
Dave Perleski, District 2.
Dave Mills, District 3.
Josh Medeiros, District 1.
And I'm Mayor Ellen Zappo-Sassu. Thank you for joining us tonight. Our first order is a moment of silence, and I'd like to ask you to join with us in remembering Dorothy Sipa, who is a longtime personnel director here for the City of Bristol, as well as Sarah Asadow, a very well-known local business owner who spent many days bringing all of us lunch and breakfast here in the halls of City Hall, as well as nourishing the souls of many others who spent time at her place of establishment, Supernatural, and our condolences to her family. Thank you. I will now turn our agenda calling over to our town and city clerk for the approval of the minutes.
Approval of minutes of the regular City Council meeting on January 9th, 2018.
Are there any discussion items, concerns, or corrections for the minutes as presented? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And who made the motion?
Owen. I'll make it. I'll second it.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, all right. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. For those of you on the dais tonight, there is a problem with our recording system, so if you could just motion for the city clerk.
We now have 2 of them running, so
Okay, good, okay.
definitely one is going to work.
Okay. For public participation tonight, we were hoping to start by featuring some of our local nonprofits who are looking for both support, recognition, and potentially volunteers. Unfortunately, the one that we were hoping to feature tonight is stuck in traffic and has not yet arrived. So we're going to move on in public participation, and if she is able to join us later, and if it's appropriate, we may revisit. But for right now, next person on the sign-up sheet is Kurt Barwis, the president of Bristol Hospital. Welcome, Kurt.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to come this evening and update you on our ambulatory building. So it's been a pretty long process. I think the first time I stood here was back in 2016, and a lot has happened since then. And it wouldn't have happened without the support of City Council, the mayor, and many others, including the legal team at the city. Tom Conlon, especially, I know he's been working really hard over the last couple weeks, going back and forth with the hospital's attorneys. So we're very, very grateful. I don't think if you kind of step back and process this, the hospital really hasn't had access to capital. I've been here almost 11 and a half years, and true access to capital to do something like this has been very elusive for us. And we're really fortunate to have found a developer to actually finance the project and work through the project with us. And the building itself, if in terms of scale and size, we're talking about somewhere between $26 and $30 million by the time we get completed, and which is a major accomplishment. So again, it wouldn't happen without tremendous support of this community, tremendous support of the leadership and the board of the hospital, and then really very interested, engaged people representing the city, engaging with the developer, really bringing someone in to help us make this happen. We also really hope and pray that it becomes the springboard for development downtown. We're really excited about this, and we're really excited to be able to hopefully give it as a stepping off point, create it as a stepping off point for other folks to locate on the property and really bring a vibrant community downtown, businesses, shops, all of those things. The next step in the process is to finalize the purchase with the city of Bristol. There are very, very few items that we're working through with the city right now. We have essentially all of the agreements in place. I think there's just a title search and that we're waiting to finalize. As soon as we do that part of the process, as soon as we close on the property, within minutes we will then execute the lease agreement with the developer, and then we're off to start. I expect very shortly thereafter, and that should likely happen in the next couple weeks, as soon as we get that title search done and finalize the title search and I think, release of lien. I don't expect that's going to take a long time, but that's out of my control, and I know everyone's working diligently on it. As soon as that's done and we have closed on the deal, we will then commence construction. We are not going to have a big groundbreaking ceremony, so you don't have to worry about being outside in the 17-degree weather. There were some requests for not doing it in the winter, so we're not. We'd rather have a celebration where people can stay, we can celebrate, and really be in a good part of the year. So we expect likely in August we will have a beam signing. So if you can envision this, the face of that property is going to change because all of the steel structure will be up. We will save the last beam, and it will be painted, I think, white, so that all of those involved can sign that beam, and then we'll have that beam lifted into place and secured, and that will mark the celebration of the project, hopefully in a real way that can engage the community and, again, all those that have supported us along the way. So hopefully that will happen in August. From beginning to end, the construction schedule is planned to be about 18 months. So from the point at which we start, you can anticipate 18 months. So we would occupy the building, provided we get all the approvals to do so, sometime in June of 2019. And we are anxious to occupy that building, so really exciting. So let's see, I think I've covered everything. Again, I want to thank all of you for your support and help, not just here in this project, but the advocacy with the state. Obviously it's been a difficult time with the state budget gap and the continuing problems that we've had. We fared fairly well into this biannual budget, and hopefully we'll continue to fare well going into the balance of 2018 and 2019. that wouldn't be possible without people in this community advocating and really standing up for the hospital and the services that we provide. So thank you for this opportunity. I'd be glad to respond to any questions you have.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the update. The next item on our agenda for public participation is Mr. Ed Dudko.
Thanks, Mr. Barwis, for keeping my mother alive, Bristol Hospital. Okay, you know the goal is always get a laugh and make a point. But, well, congratulations, you won. Providence did beat Marquette this time.
I saw that.
Well, we'll meet again in the Big East. And I know you're going to have open house tomorrow, so I'll go real quick tonight.
Does that mean you're coming tomorrow?
Sure. I got all day. 1:30 to 4, right? Okay,
Yes.
now the first thing. Now you're going to make me forget what I had to say. Jeez. Well, oh boy. Oh, well, you know I want the plaque, okay? And I want a plaque for my mother because you know what happened there. Like, I look at that as the reverse Robin Hood, taken from the poor and given to the rich. That's what happened over there with the Southeast Bristol Business Park. And, you know, now a limited liability or corporation out of Michigan owns most of the land. And next door went for $42 million to the ESPN North Campus, and you own 38 acres right adjacent to it. And we really got nothing. Now, number two, this is really quick. You know, I think the Bristol Police Department, I see police officers in here tonight doing a great job. The morale was lousy before, and even in town, people didn't think much. But you always say if you see something, report it. Well, I got robbed about 10 days ago. I got robbed because it was cybercrime. You know, you get your credit card, you know, 21 months, no interest. So just before the 21 months is up, I find out what my balance is, I pay it all off. I owe $0. Then I look at my Webster statement, and it's $1,079.63. So I call up, they take it off the bill. It's from Espresso Parts, some espresso coffee machine parts in the state of Washington. Now, I've never been to Washington. And they said, I asked, any other things? You know, and they say, there's one more for $953 from the state of Montana. I've never been in the state of Montana in my life either. And this is for the Mystery Ranch. So what's the Mystery Ranch? Sounds like a bordello, right? Okay, well maybe that's why you need the espresso, right? Anyways, so, you know, if you see it, report it. So I figure, what's the Mystery Ranch? It's military gear. It's surveillance stuff that they sell in wacko country, white supremacist Montana. So I report it, you know, I know where the packages were sent. I know it was sent to 20512 Juilliard Drive, Walnut, California. I've got a confirmation order. I've got a phone number of you know, who wrote down for it. But I did go to the police department in Bristol. And that's my only complaint. And hey, I called the FBI too, and they really weren't interested. They see this happen a lot. But I thought, since it's military equipment, it's survival gear. But you know, all I got was a piece of scrap paper from the BPD, a piece of scrap paper with a case ID number. I never really met with anybody there, the Bristol Police Department, just in the lobby. Talked with somebody in the lobby. And I had all this information here. You know what? I got a FedEx tracking number. Somebody signed for the package. You know, I called Walnut, California, the sheriff's department there, and they say, you've got to initiate it with your local police department. I'd like them to do that, you know, could do a little bit more. That's all I'm saying. But I do think they do a good job, because I'd never take that job. I don't want to stop a car at 4 o'clock in the morning with 3 dudes in it. I don't want to go to a house at 3:30 in the morning with the husband and wife fighting in a domestic disturbance, and somebody might have a gun. I've got all the respect in the world for them. But I thought a little bit on this case, because it's military equipment and, you know, this stuff, it's fair enough, a little bit more should have been looked at. Or at least they can start something and have the Walnut, California Police Department take it over. That's all.
Well, we do have a cyber crimes division,
Right,
and I do
right.
see that Chief Gould has stood up, which is working against my plan, because I was going to make him come to open office hours tomorrow and talk to you, but
Okay, that's
would you
good.
like to come to the podium, Chief Gould? Okay. Okay.
Also, you got to get that stick out there. Somebody's going to poke their eye out near the fountain.
You did tell me about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That has concluded our section where people were here on time to sign up, but is there anyone here from the general audience that did not have the opportunity to sign up that would like to approach the podium? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to our regular agenda. Our next item are announcements by city council members, and I will start on my far right.
Okay, the Business Education Foundation is going to be presenting their first annual Trivia Night fundraiser, and that's going to be at Nucci's, 164 Central Street in Forestville, Friday, April 6th at 6 p.m. And the cost is $25 per person. Team of 4 is $90, so you save $10 with 4 people. Now, trivia is 21 plus. Food is provided, and there is a cash bar. And the proceeds benefit the Bristol Business Education Foundation's effort to provide additional educational opportunities to Bristol Public School students. And to purchase tickets, you can contact Sarah Mitchell at 860-584-7043, or Sarah's email is Sarah Mitchell, and that's SARAH Mitchell, at ci.bristol.ct.us. And this event is hosted by Digital Tracks Entertainment.
Well, the Bristol Blues has come out with their schedule for the year, and as has happened in the past few years, there is a day for the employees of the city of Bristol, and that's going to be on June 7th. It's an annual event. They're going to have a picnic area so people can go with their families and enjoy the game. I'd also like to encourage the public to come and enjoy the game, not just to support the Blues, but also to support the employees of the city in Bristol and thank them for the work that they do.
Okay, I just have one announcement tonight. There is going to be a public informational meeting regarding the Louisiana Street Bridge. This is the bridge at the end of Louisiana Avenue, near Brook Street, going over the Coppermine Brook. That bridge is going to begin to be replaced, and for neighbors and commuters and folks that use that area to avoid Route 6, there's going to be an informational meeting tomorrow night at the Bristol Public Library in the meeting room. That's on High Street, the main library. It starts at 6:30. It is tomorrow night, and I hope people will go and ask questions, because it's better to know the plan before you become frustrated with the work that'll be going on there. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor. Got a couple things. Couple things going on or coming up that are a great way to help support our local businesses. I've been plugging, the West End Association has done a great job cleaning up the West End and bringing the community, all the neighborhood together. And there is a Taste of Bristol going on right now. These tickets are $5. 38 local restaurants are participating, where you can get 20% off your bill. Some exclusions apply, but it's a great deal. And it's a great way to support our local restaurants. And you can buy these tickets at the mayor's office in the West End, Hamlin and Sons. And this weekend at the Home Show, the Greater Bristol Chamber of Commerce Home Show will be held this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, at Bristol Eastern High School. The hours are Saturday from 11 to 5 and Sunday 11 to 4. Great way, again, to support those in our community who do such a fine job in our businesses. Thank you, Mayor.
I've got a couple of announcements. Also, don't forget about the duck race. The duck race will be held the first Sunday in May. Tickets are $5. They will be on sale at the home show this weekend as well. And the second one is a shout out to the Bristol Eastern High School wrestling team for their second undefeated season in a row. Quite an accomplishment for any sport team, and certainly they've done a wonderful job, so congratulations to them.
Great. I just have one announcement. The Youth Services Department, in conjunction with the Bristol Boys and Girls Club, have created a free socializing group geared towards youth, I believe it's 6th to 8th grade, who have recently moved to Bristol from Puerto Rico, Mexico, and other areas that were displaced with the recent disasters. Presently, I believe we have 44 youth enrolled in our school system as a result of the disasters. This particular group involves socializing elements to help the kids make friends, helps them with communication and language assistance, and of course, fun games, activities, snacks, and that kind of thing. The group is free, and it meets Wednesdays from 5 to 6 p.m. at the Bristol Boys and Girls Club at 255 West Street.
Okay, I just have two brief items. First, I just would reiterate that there are open office hours in the mayor's office tomorrow from 1:30 to 4. For those of you who might have an issue that you're not comfortable discussing in a group setting, you can continue to make one-on-one appointments for constituent issues. But if you are available on a Wednesday afternoon, you can come in, and it's more of a roundtable format, but we are able to address specific issues if you have them. And then I just wanted to take a quick opportunity to thank Kevin McCauley and Sharon Kowicki, as well as their staff, Jen Bernoli, who ran a really great youth cabinet for the group this afternoon. They really kept them occupied for the entire 45 minutes. It is also now being taped by Nutmeg, so you can catch the youth cabinet, and hopefully we'll be able to foster a greater understanding and encourage more young people to get involved in the city government. Next month, we are going over to the police department, and I believe then we are going to be in the Public Works Department for April, at which point they'll be meeting with the Assistant City Planner, who's a relatively newcomer and young member of our staff, and he will be walking them through a site plan development for across the street, Center Mall, what they envision, what could possibly be there, and what goes into creating a site plan. And in May, we are walking over to the fire department. So for those of you who may have children, neighbors, grandchildren that are interested, the requirement is to be ages 10 through 18. All are welcome, and they do get homework sometimes. And but I do think that they learned a lot. I personally learned a lot today. I did not realize the technical aspects of securing the voting tabulating machines and everything that goes in to make sure that our process is transparent. So to Sharon and Kevin, who I think are here, thank you very much for the time and effort that you put into that presentation. We're going to now move on to our consent calendar, and there is actually a lot going on. So in advance of our town and city clerk running through it, I am going to just take the initiative and say that we are pulling off 5C for technical reasons, and we are also going to pull, I believe, we're going to make a change to 5G, so we're going to ask that those be changed or taken off, and then I'll turn the rest over to you.
Did someone make that motion to take it off? Or
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. And then,
You did.
yes.
You did. Okay. So all in favor of taking 5C and 5G off of the consent calendar?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And I'll read the others. 5A is to place on file the new hire report for January 2018. 5B is to place on file the tax refunds dated February 6th, 2018. 5D is to refer to the Real Estate Committee and Planning Commission for Connecticut General Statutes, Section 824, review the easement for Verizon Wireless to locate its equipment at 532 Stevens Street at Northeast Middle School. 5E is to place on file and refer to the Real Estate Committee the approval by the Board of Education for Verizon to install a cellular canister on pole number 10821 on the southwest side of Northeast Middle School property. And 5F is to refer to the Board of Public Works and Sewer Committee for review, Lot 220-1 Willis Street.
Motion to approve?
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of the consent agenda items as presented?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we're going to go to item 5C. Do we have a revised motion?
We do, Your Honor. I hereby move that the following properties be referred to the Real Estate Committee, Public Works, and the Planning Commission for a Connecticut General Statute Section 8-24 report. Lot number 222 Founders Drive, lot number 5 Park Street, and lot number 222-10 rear Brewster Road.
Second.
Okay, and discussion on the motion. Just for clarification, for those of you who may have seen additional properties listed on the agenda, it was discovered during the creation of the agenda that several of those properties were actually part of open space and that could not be sold. So we are not going to refer them, but we are going to try to work to correct the deeds to reflect the appropriate open space and not available land for sale. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor of the
Aye.
approval? That was for 5C. Opposed? Motion carries. And we have a technical revision to 5G for the motion.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to refer to the ordinance committee the matter of to the ordinance committee and the salary committee, the matter of regular and veterans buyback provisions from the retirement board.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and the clarification on this one is we're sending it to both boards concurrently, ordinance and salary for review. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Under reports and committee reports, we are going to start tonight with the Mayor's Task Force on Energy Consumption. So right now, I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the City of Bristol Energy Plan as presented by the task force so that we may have discussion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So we've accepted the report. We've talked about it at previous meetings. The report is a very substantial report. It's actually, I think it's a good thing that we kept it over another month because I think every time we read it, there are more items in there that need to be addressed. So in general, by accepting this report tonight, we have just voted to accept the responsibility of continuing the efforts to continually reduce our energy consumption as a municipality. We have some goals that have been set by this task force, and one of them is that we are being asked to reduce consumption in this calendar year by 20%. And that's only going to happen with the cooperation of all of our city departments, as well as the Board of Education and all the volunteer commissioners who have policy roles within the city and our staff. And I would like to take a moment to thank all of our volunteer commissioners on the Energy Task Force. I do see many of them in the audience, so if they're here, I'd just like them to stand up for a minute, be acknowledged. I have to say that this is probably one of the more substantial reports that I've read in all of my years on the City Council, and I really commend you for melding together such a great group of diverse interests and backgrounds to have this report. In order to continue to create this comprehensive building citywide efficiencies that we need, there is a strategy that they've introduced, and there's some priorities for some upgrades, some timelines, and an assessment of how we're going to achieve these, both from funding and from savings. So tonight, in order to continue this process moving forward, I think that it's appropriate to continue to meet those goals and introduce a series of motions that will continue this moving forward. The task force is going to continue to meet, and I think that we'll continue to play a role as we start to work through some of these next motions. So we've actually, ironically, recently have had a request from a citizen who feels that it's important for the City of Bristol to reinstate its Earth Day activities and celebrations that we used to have several years ago. So I will take the lead and make the first referral to the future, either Energy Commission or the Energy Task Force, for taking the lead in planning an Earth Day environmentally aware event for April of 2019. And that is in the form of a motion.
Second.
Discussion on the motion to refer an Earth Day event planning activity to the future Energy Commission or Task Force.
Good idea.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I will start on my far right.
I'd like to make a referral to the Purchasing Department for the creation and inclusion of procurement policies that take into consideration the life cycle of all purchases, as well as a policy to aggregate energy plans and fleet purchases across all departments.
Second.
Discussion on the motion on the referral to the purchasing department. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Councilman Hahn.
I'd like to make a motion to refer the energy plan to the Public Works Solid Waste Division to continue to measure the municipal waste stream, incorporate energy conservation measures, and explore options for solar arrays at the transfer station.
Second.
Discussion on the motion on the referral to solid waste and the exploratory motion for solar. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'd like to make a referral to the Salary Committee to consider the creation of an energy manager or portfolio manager for this program.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Councilman Proleski.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a referral to the Ordinance Committee to create a permanent energy commission for the city of Bristol.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
My turn. I would like to make a motion to refer the energy plan to the City Council Building Committee, Public Works Board, the Water Board, Board of Education for reference and inclusion in their future building projects.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Councilman Maderos.
I'd like to make a referral to the Public Works Land Use Division to encourage new construction to meet LEED Gold Green building standards, the reuse of stormwater and rain, and the use of native vegetation drought-resistant plants for site landscaping.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So the motions that the council chose to call out tonight represent a small amount of future policies that we are interested in pursuing. But I think it was a great representation of items of interest to you and the committees that you're serving on, but also is just the beginning of the footprint. So there's lots more in the energy plan, and for any city departments or volunteer commissions that haven't yet read it, please let us know, and we'll be happy to get you a copy if you weren't included to date in any of the motions. And again, I'd like to thank the Energy Task Force. We are well on our way to working on some of these key points, and we'll continue to be in close contact with you as other ideas come forward. Thank you. Okay. Back to our agenda. Real estate. Do you want to take this?
Your Honor, I have a motion. I hereby move that the city of Bristol accept the offer from Greg Oganowski in the amount of $18,000 for city-owned property known as 23-25 Munchausen Avenue on map 30 of the Bristol Assessor's Office. I further move that this matter be referred to the Corporation Council to prepare and/or review any necessary documents. I further move that the mayor, acting mayor, be authorized to execute necessary documents to effectuate the same.
Second.
Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Your Honor, we have another motion from real estate. I hereby move that the city of Bristol extend an exclusive right to sell listing contract with Keller Williams Realty to sell 12 Marconi Avenue for the time period of 6 months. I further move that this matter be referred to Corporation Council to prepare and/or review any necessary documents. And I further move that the mayor or acting mayor be authorized to execute any necessary documents to effectuate the same.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Couple more, Your Honor. I hereby move that the city of Bristol reject the offer from Nicholas Ackers and Maggie Kanya in the amount of $7,000 for city-owned property known as 384 Fall Mountain Road on map 10 of the Bristol Assessor's Office. I further move that this matter be referred to Corporation Council to prepare and/or review any necessary documents. I further move that the mayor or acting mayor be authorized to execute any necessary documents to effectuate the same.
Second.
Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I will take over for Dave I've got a couple motions to add. I hereby move that the City of Bristol seek requests for proposal for the disposition of property owned by the city known as 43 East Main Street on map 41 of the Bristol's Assessor's Office,
Second.
and that the purchasing agent be authorized to request proposals, and that he send out a press release in addition to the legal notices and update the city website. I further move that this matter be referred by the corporation to the Corporation Council to prepare and review any necessary documents. I further move that the mayor or acting mayor be authorized to execute any necessary documents to effectuate the same.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And the last one, Your Honor, I hereby move that the City of Bristol seek requests for proposals for the disposition of the property owned by the city, known as Lot 75A-2 Pine Street on map 34 of the Bristol Assessor's Office, and that the purchasing agent be authorized to request proposals, and that he send out a press release in addition to the legal notices and update the city's website. I further move that this matter be referred to the Corporation Council to prepare and/or review any necessary documents. I further move that the mayor or acting mayor be authorized to execute any necessary documents to effectuate the same.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Your Honor, we have two from the Ordinance Committee. A motion to waive reading in accordance with Section 21F of the Charter of the City of Bristol. I hereby move that the reading of the proposed amendments of the Code of Ordinances to be introduced this date pertaining to Section 18-189 of the Planning Code be waived.
Second.
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 Discussion on the motion? We'll do them separately. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
In connection with that, Your Honor, we have a motion to introduce, in accordance with Section 21F of the Charter of the City of Bristol, the following amendments to the Code of Ordinances are hereby introduced. I hereby move that the time and place of Wednesday, February 21st, 2018, at 4:45 p.m. in the first floor meeting room, City Hall, 111 North Main Street, Bristol, Connecticut, be set for the holding of a public hearing thereon by the Ordinance Committee, and that the city clerk publish notice of said public hearing and the proposed amendments to the Code of Ordinances as required by city charter.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Your Honor, another from the Ordinance Committee. In accordance to Section 21F of the City Charter, I hereby move that the reading of the proposed amendments to the Code of Ordinances to be introduced on this date pertaining to Section 2-12.1 of the Administration Code be waived.
Is there a
Second.
second? Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
In connection with that, Your Honor, we have a motion to introduce, in accordance to the Section 21F of the Charter of the City of Bristol, the following amendments to the Code of Ordinances are hereby introduced. I hereby move that the time and place of Wednesday, February 21st, 2018, at 4:30 p.m. in the first floor meeting room, City Hall, 111 North Main Street, Bristol, Connecticut, be set for the holding of a public hearing thereon by the Ordinance Committee, and that the city clerk publish notice of said public hearing, and that the proposed amendments to the city Code of Ordinance as required by the city charter.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And just for the viewing public, as well as those of you who are here, some of you may have seen that the agenda was quite longer with many items this month, but what we are trying to do is to bring as many committee items onto the agenda and list them so that the public has a better idea of what's being discussed, as opposed to just seeing something after the fact. So I don't think this meeting's going to go much longer. In fact, it might be one of our shorter ones, but just for the sake of transparency, you are going to see a lot of committee reports and actual agenda items listed moving forward. The next item is Charter Revision Commission. I've added this to the agenda from a reporting standpoint because, again, it is going to be a standing item from now until probably June. We met once as an organizational meeting.
There was, I think, great synergy amongst the 9 members who were there. I think their backgrounds are very complementary. I think that they're going to do great things, and I've received occasional feedback and emails from some of them already telling me that they're exploring other communities' charters and have some great ideas. What I am remiss in having is their next meeting date. It's February 21st at 7 p.m. So for any of you who are interested in following the charter process, they are meeting next Wednesday night, February 21st at 7 p.m. in this building somewhere.
It's in the second floor lounge. That's
In the
about the
second floor
only
lounge.
room that was available, but there will be plenty of seating for people.
Okay. And again, just a reminder to department heads as well as members of the public, if there's something in the charter that you would like to see revised, discussed, or changed, now is the time to do it, because anything that is recommended needs to go on the ballot for approval or not approval. Okay, for this, regular committee reports, starting on my far right.
All right, I have two.
Brief committee reports, Councilman Kelly.
Right, okay. I have 2 brief reports. The first is school readiness. And last month, on the 24th of January, I attended a directors forum sponsored by the School Readiness Council. The meeting was attended by administrators of center-based programs in Bristol, including nonprofits, for-profits, and faith-based institutions. Over 30 people were present, including the mayor and the BDA director, Justin Malley. I was impressed by the number of young children that were being served by these programs. And to give you an idea, 307 infant and toddlers are served, 1,031 pre-K children, and most surprising was that 400 employees are employed by these programs, and many are Bristol residents. And although you don't think in terms of early childhood education programs as being a business, in essence, they are, because they're adding value to our community on many levels. And I'd also like to speak to the Board of Ed, and it's a common theme that's been addressed already, but I think it bears mentioning. The 2018 and 2019 education budget is being formulated, and one piece of good news is that state funding appears to be preserved due to our status of the Alliance grant. And I would like to compliment the staff on the hard work they did in making the budget workshops and data easy to follow and comprehend, as well as the fact that they have already addressed a majority of the recommendations from the Bloom-Shapiro audit report. And Board of Education budget dates for upcoming budget forums are March 5th and 12th, and the public is invited and encouraged to attend, especially since strong public schools are important to all of us.
Thank you. Almost 3 minutes.
I have a few quick announcements for the Commission on Aging. The Senior Center will offer free tax preparation through AARP. Again, this year, the program will be held on Tuesdays and Fridays from 8:30 to 12:30 p.m. Through April 17th, and it's on a first-come, first-served basis. They also have AARP driver's course for the first Thursday of the month from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Successful completion of the class can get qualifying seniors a discount on their automobile insurance, and the next class will be held on March 1st. The cost is $15 for AARP members and $20 for non-members. Registration can be done in person at the Senior Center. And finally, the Senior Center is offering a bus trip to see the Celtic Tenors perform on Sunday, March 18th at 3 o'clock p.m. at Lyman Center for the Performing Arts in New Haven, Connecticut. The cost is $35 and includes bus transportation and premium seats. Sign-ups are being taken at the Senior Center weekdays from 8:30 in the morning till 5 p.m. at night.
Thank you.
And I have no committee reports to make the meeting faster.
Your Honor, I have one. I want to thank Chief Kolakowski for helping me on some detail with this. This is something we all can be very, very proud of. Jason J. Dufour, as a lieutenant in our fire department, has returned safe and sound from a 6-month deployment to the Gulf States region. Jay is a technical sergeant with the Connecticut Air Guard, and as I said, he serves us proudly as a lieutenant. The chief thinks the anticipated date of return for Jay is March 6th. We're very happy and we're relieved that to have him back, and that if you see Jay along the street, tell him you're proud of him. He served us well as a lieutenant in our fire department. He serves his country well. We're very proud of him. Thank you.
I have a couple just quick announcements. BDA, again, watch the show if you possibly can, Uniquely Bristol. Just pick it up on YouTube or go to the Bristol All Heart website, rather, and just click on it. It's always a great show, a monthly show. And one of the emphasis that we're working on at the marketing committee is manufacturing and how to make manufacturing and then getting the word out to make manufacturing important in the city of Bristol. As you know, there's several industries around, and there's a need for new employees and people to go into that field. And one of the things that the marketing committee is doing is trying to come up with a program to emphasize that, and we're discussing that. So that's what we're focusing on right now. That's all I have.
Great. I just have a couple quick announcements, one from Parks and one from Youth Services. Bristol Parks and Rec Department is currently accepting applications for summer and seasonal positions. That includes lifeguards, water safety instructors, program and ground staff. They are even offering training at the pool to certify you as a lifeguard or WSI, so you can apply. Those classes are being offered on February 16th and 17th. Each summer, the department employs about 150 seasonal staff, and these are great positions for local youth. So if you know anyone that's responsible and looking for work, they can send their applications to the Parks and Rec Department. And then secondly, Youth Services is going to be recognizing outstanding youth volunteers. Applications to nominate a youth will be available by March 1st and due in by April 2nd. The youth will be recognized by the Youth Commission and City Council at the May meeting.
Thank you. Okay, we are going to move on to unfinished business. We do have one item on our agenda. It is the approval of the participation of the City of Bristol as a named plaintiff in a class action lawsuit against Purdue Pharma LP et al. And this will be a precursor to us discussing our opioid issues.
And there is a motion to read, Your Honor. I believe it's online. You should have it.
Does anybody have the motion?
I can read that, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
I hereby move that the City Council of the City of Bristol approve and ratify the participation of the City of Bristol as a named plaintiff in a class action lawsuit being brought by 17 other Connecticut municipalities, which lawsuit seeks compensation against Purdue Pharma LP and other pharmaceutical entities and individuals and any other subsequently determined responsible defendants for damages caused to the city by the defendants' alleged deceptive marketing programs that are alleged to have created and still do create a false perception of the safety and efficacy of opioid drugs, all as further stated in the attached complaint dated January 9th, 2018, and signed by lead counsel for the class.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Do you also have the second part of that motion? There's another
Oh,
paragraph of further.
I apologize, I just didn't move my mouse far enough. I further move that this matter be referred to the Corporation Counsel, Wyland Dale Clift, who shall have the power, with the approval of the City Council, to appeal from orders, decisions, and judgments, and subject to approval from the City Council, to compromise or settle any claims against said defendants on behalf of the City of Bristol.
Okay. Now is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion on the motion.
Yes, Mayor, can I ask a question? Perhaps it should be referred to City Council. And I understand the concept of the lawsuit is to win an award, but could this potentially cost us money? That's the first part of my question.
Okay. Well, there's actually two parts here. One is that the city was actually committed to this lawsuit last year, but there doesn't appear to be any paperwork on that, and there's no file. So I think we have to bring this up, because now that we've been brought to the table for this, we have to have a paper trail on that. To your second question, I will defer to our Corporation Counsel.
Okay. Of course, there's always a cost. Primarily, pardon me, my voice is leaving me here. This is not the only case that I've found to be where we've been committed to a lawsuit without it being brought to the city council, and which is troubling to me. I was aware of at least 3 other lawsuits which were that we signed on to, not by the council or not by even my predecessor, the corporation council, but simply people taking their own initiative to have the city join in a class action lawsuit. I became aware of the fact that our new comptroller was suddenly faced with having to respond to discovery and other requests as a result of our being made a party plaintiff in a lawsuit that costs her a lot of time, her staff a lot of time, digging out documents and so on, documents that unfortunately we didn't have because some documents disappear and are destroyed. So when I learned about this lawsuit, I first learned of it when I got a request from the lead counsel to review a complaint and sought my comments. So I did that. And then I got talking to the mayor about it, and I said, gee, is the council aware of this? And we couldn't, as you know, there was no paperwork in the mayor's office when she assumed office. So we thought it best to bring it to the city council, and I do commit to you that we will certainly do that in the future. With respect to your question, though, what are the costs? None at this point, except, of course, we may be called upon at some future date to provide some documentation of our actual damages. Our actual damages being the cost of having to provide perhaps social services as a result of this opioid crisis, things of that nature. But again, you have my commitment, I certainly have the mayor's commitment, that we will not be joining any other lawsuits, class action or otherwise, unless we bring it before you.
An initiative is great, but there are processes, obviously, that
That's right.
should be followed.
And we'll do that. You have my commitment on that. I do have an update on this actual lawsuit, as a matter of fact. Thank you, Tom Conlon, for bringing it to my attention. Just came in an update on the status of this actual litigation. The case was filed. It was filed in the complex litigation in Waterbury, but on the court's own initiative, it transferred it to the complex litigation document in Hartford. So this precluded us from having the case assigned to Waterbury, which I think was our preferred forum. But nonetheless, the case was assigned to Judge, and I don't want to butcher his name, but McCowsher, and he is the judge who had the recent decision on the school funding issue. And so last Friday, the court held a status conference, and it was solely for the purpose of disclosing a potential conflict that Judge McCowsher identified relating to his ownership of stock in several pharmaceutical companies. And that conference was held with a different judge, Judge Sheridan, who gave the plaintiffs some details regarding the pharmaceutical stock, but it indicated he did not believe it involved any of the pharmaceuticals involved in any of the defendants in the case. So we've been requested to let the court know by Friday if we agree with their recommendation to allow Judge McCowsher to hear this matter. And frankly, I think he's a brilliant judge, and I'm going to recommend that he be kept on the case as the responsible judge. So that's an update. We'll certainly have more updates from you. By the way, in your packets, I did provide you with the entire, gosh, what was it, Mayor, 164-page complaint that we filed, and we are a named plaintiff. So again, I've taken to heart your comments, and it's certainly our intention. We'll always keep you informed before we go out and do anything like this. Okay? Any other questions?
Yes. if I may?
Sure.
Are we confident that we have our arms around any other, the three lawsuits that you mentioned, that you became aware of, that there are no others that we're going to be surprised with?
Well, you don't know what you have until you know what you have, but I'm not aware of any others.
Okay.
And, I suppose for our next department head meeting, Mayor, if you want to put that question out there, but it should be the Corporation Council with the consent of the City Council, the Mayor and the City Council, before we go off into these things.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So at this point, where we are with Agenda Item 7A that we've just acted on, I do want to take a moment to talk about the fact that this month we are going to name our opioid task force. I have that list. I just want to quickly go over the fact that what we're going to be doing is pulling together community healthcare providers. We are pulling together people in recovery, parents of people who are either in recovery or trying to get into recovery, as well as concerned citizens, as well as some resources from the city, in order to position ourselves as leaders in developing a community response plan. And that's important for a couple of reasons. For any of you who follow the news, you will have seen, even in just the last few days, there was a big article about the backpedaling of one of the drug makers on their marketing campaigns. There was another large article with the Trump administration with new funding targeting the opioid crisis. And there are events. There is a ton of events because there is a community concern. Best for Bristol, which is an initiative out of our Youth and Community Services City Department, has been on this issue for a while, and we're going to be using that format to kind of work with the task force. And just recently, last week, they were in Washington, and they graduated from the National Coalition Institute Community Anti-Drug Coalitions of America program. So they're going to be putting together a database of prescribers that are going to be going out to area physicians. It's going to again, point them in the direction of the prescription drug monitoring program, which all physicians should be participating in, and they will be part of our base for what we're doing. The Chamber is also having a seminar on opioid issues on March 28th, April 25th, and those are at their offices. And we, in conjunction with DEMAS and the Department of Public Health, are doing free naloxone training. And that is actually also going to include the distribution of kits. And there's two of those dates. The first is Thursday, March 15th, and the second one is Thursday, March 29th. And a lot of this information is available from my office and also Facebook and the city website. And this is just in two. Best for Bristol is teaming up with Wheeler. There's another event, Substances Effects on the 14 to 24-year-old adolescent brain, which obviously is a huge focus point for this topic. That is on Thursday, May 3rd, and that is going to be at the Doubletree, and that is a free event, and it's open to all those who live and work in Bristol. Pre-registration is going to be required. So with that being said, I think that it's really a tribute to all the people in this community, because even as of this afternoon, we were still adding names to this roster. This is a task force. It's going to be bifurcated, so there's actually going to be voting members, and then there's going to be an advisory group, and they will come together and exchange ideas, and we are going to be funneling all of the ideas and all of the additional resources that are already here in Bristol into one funnel so we can have a community plan. So some of these may be names that you're aware of, may not be residents of Bristol, and when it's a task force and there's an expertise being added, that is allowed. So for the first part, for the voting members of the 2018 Opioid Task Force, I'd like to introduce the names of Carlos Davila with the Recovery Village, Andrew Salick, Concerned Citizen, Laura Mattioli-Lewis, Jennifer McLeod, Allison Krell, Dr. Glenn Palmisano, Barbara Denoya, Sandra Kamens, Jessica Alant, Rebecca Colasanto, Allison Carlson, Mary Fortier is going to be our council liaison, Pat Stebbins, Chrissy Garrity.
Kathy Dunn, and Carol Cahill. We are also going to have an advisory group that consists of Kurt Barwis from Bristol Hospital, Chuck Moats, who is our Bristol Burlington Health District Director, Dr. William Brownstein, who chairs the Health District, Dr. Leslie Kish, who also serves on the Health District, Shannon Mulls, who has recently joined the Health District and is a clinical therapist, Police Chief Brian Gould, Heidi Joseph from Wheeler Clinic, Judith Stonger from Wheeler Clinic, Chris Casson, who is the Health District, the Board of Ed Athletic Director and also Health Liaison for their curriculum, Eileen McNulty from the Bristol Youth and Community Services. So those are the names being presented that will be getting to work hopefully later this month. Is there a motion to approve the creation of the task force and the names presented?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. I have to get back and find my agenda. Okay, we are, at this point, we have had a lot of business, a lot of committee reports, and I would just like to take, since we're actually doing very well on time, one last opportunity to ask anybody from the audience if there's anything they'd like to address from a public participation standpoint. Okay, hearing none, we're going to move on to new business. We do have one item that is listed on the agenda, and it is the 17187 Department of Transportation project for the Route 6972 alignment. And I asked this to be put on the agenda both for transparency and also discussion because we've recently received the archaeological assessment survey that's part of that DOT process. And unfortunately, they've identified several buildings within that 7269 configuration that they believe, based on their age, are historic. I believe that they are wrong and that we should not have an adverse impact on this project because of these buildings. So we have enlisted the support of the West End Association and the Bristol Historical Society and would welcome the support of anybody else who lives or works in that neighborhood to help us make sure that this project stays on track and does not receive adverse impact because of these buildings. But the reason it's on the agenda is I had actually sent the report out to the City Council for them to read, and several of them responded and added comments, and that made it a meeting. So we are putting it on the agenda so that we can appropriately deal with the fact that we discussed 17-187 and that we have a consensus that we would like to go forward and fight the adverse impact on the archaeological assessment survey. It actually goes back and discusses soil sediment in the Stone Age for the West End. So if any of you have insomnia, I would suggest that you go right to page 30. It is a 58-page report, and there's 7 pages on the Stone Age. So I would like to entertain if somebody could put in the form a motion that the City Council opposes the findings of the archaeological assessment survey and authorizes me to write a statement concerning the adverse impact.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion on the motion concerning the realignment project.
Mayor, this is so important. Councilman Kelly and I continually meet with the West End Association and others in our district, and this project comes up virtually every time we meet with these people. Very important to our city, very important to our West End. Thank you for taking the lead.
I think it's important for everyone to know as well that in the real deconstruction of the DOT budget, we only had 1 out of 3 projects taken off the list. And I think that we have to do just really great due diligence to make sure that we don't lose another one. The Louisiana Street Bridge project is going forward, and hopefully this one does as well. The only one that has been put on hold is the reconfiguration of the Boulevard, Blakesley Street, Riverside Avenue intersection. So again, hopefully that will see sometime in the future, but for right now, we have 2 projects that we need to concentrate on and remove all obstacles in order to have them go forward.
Well, Your Honor, just again, a brief comment. I don't know if everybody understands exactly what we're discussing here, but we're talking about buildings like Wallung. The building that they're in is one of the historic buildings that's holding up the West End project and the realignment of the West End. So that's the urgency of this notification and why it's so important to get our 2 cents into what we believe is right. If you can, this has always been a concern of the reconstruction of that and the realignment of that. And if we you know the way these things work, it could hold the project up for another year or two if we allow this to continue. So someone decided that the archaeological project was more important, and the West End Club, the old West End Club on Wallung and a few other properties were important enough to hold up our project for at least a year or two. So
Yeah.
just to put it in perspective.
Any further discussion on the motion? Who made the motion?
I think I did.
Okay, and was it seconded? Okay. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to add an agenda item to new business involving a planning grant for the parks.
Okay, a motion has been made to add an agenda concerning a Parks Department planning grant to the
Second.
agenda. Second has been made, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You have the floor.
Yes, so there was, recently, the National Rec and Park Association put out a grant opportunity that the superintendent jumped on, but I think it came out this week, and it's got a pretty quick turnaround deadline of April 1st, so we felt it was important to get it on the agenda for City Council's consideration tonight. The long and short of it is, there's a $40,000 opportunity to help with planning. Basically, NRPA feels that every neighborhood deserves a park within a 10-minute walk of your house, and this money could be funded for studies involving expansion and building parks and that kind of thing. So I did feel like it was an important thing to put on the agenda.
Okay, do you have a motion?
I do. So the requested action, the motion is to approve submission of a grant application to the National Recreation Park Association 10-minute walk planning grant to authorize the mayor or acting mayor to execute any and all documents and to refer the matter to the Board of Finance for any necessary action.
Second.
Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. New business starting on my far right. Okay. Councilman Hahn.
Yes, I'd like to address an item that was brought to our attention a little while ago, having to do with the construction on Route 6. It was affecting the mail delivery, and Frank Coccaro came to a meeting and brought it to our attention. I just wanted to give you a quick status, is the mayor began working with the post office on some solutions, and I met with Frank and walked the route. And so there's been good communication, and I think we've discovered at least 2 viable options. And so I'll be meeting with Frank and the neighbors in the coming weeks so that we can get this put to bed and have a good solution. But the issue was there are many elderly women and men living in the area, and they would not have been able to walk down the street to get their mail as was proposed. So a solution is in the works, and I just want everybody to know that we are still discussing it, and I will let you know when it is resolved.
None for me, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I have one. We are continually looking at ways of being efficient, and when we see waste or a waste of our resources and tax dollars, we try to be creative. And in the last few years, we've spent money in our Blight program, which is something that's really, I think, important to the city. But in some cases, when a property is deemed unsafe or a public safety threat, we've had to demolish some of these properties at a great expense to the city. Sometimes we don't get that money back. So I've been working with Representative Chris Iogas, who I want to thank publicly for giving me as much time as he has, to propose I propose legislation to the state in a manner which will give the cities and towns of our state another opportunity to collect when we extend money for blighted properties, specifically blighted properties where we find that the homeowners are negligent in letting their properties deteriorate to a condition that causes a public safety threat. It's a long shot, but it's going to, if it gets assigned to a committee and gets out of committee, it'll give us another avenue of recourse against empty shell LLCs where we may be able to recover some money. And even if it doesn't get traction out of committee, CCM or some other towns and legislators may take a look at this stuff and say, hey, this is important to our towns. You know, we're wasting money, good taxpayer dollars, on these things for other people's negligence, and we shouldn't be paying for other people's sins. Mayor, I want to thank you, too, with your advice. I'm very grateful to Representative Ziogas, who's had a very busy first term for the city, but for giving me as much time as he has. Thank you, Mayor.
No, I have nothing.
I'm all set.
The city clerk for resignations.
Okay. There are 3 resignations. The first is from Abby Kelly from the Mayor's Task Force on AIDS. The second is from Teresa Ferreira from the Freedom of Information Advisory Board. And there was an item last month for Mary Smith from the Bristol-Burlington Board of Health, and she was actually a 2-9 resignation, so.
Okay, so moving on to appointments, there are only a few this month. The first one is the Commission for Persons with Disabilities, and it's to appoint Tracy Beeland to replace Melissa Zukowski, which is a Section 2-9 resignation for an unexpired term to June of 2019. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion on the appointment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next one is the Board of Library Directors to reappoint Thomas Laporte for a 3-year term to January of 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Board of Public Works to reappoint Sean Dunn for a 3-year term to February of 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Regional Planning Commission of the Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments. It's a mayor's appointment. I am appointing David White, who is a member of our Planning Commission, to represent us on the RPC, which is part of the new Naugatuck Valley COG. And the last one, I am extending Mary Fortier's term as acting mayor for 1 additional month to March of 2018, because in doing the math, I realized that with 6 council members and a 24-month term, you will each have a 4-month term, and it just makes it easier than the quarterly redoing. So we're going to do that for that, so that's my appointment. Nothing necessary. And then, starting in March, it'll be Councilman Mills who will serve as acting mayor for the next 4 months after that. So, plan your vacations now. And now we are moving on to our regular agenda, and I'll turn it back over to our town and city clerk.
To affirm the annual permit fee of $25 per calendar year for the registration and permitting of private collectors haulers to collect solid waste, rubbish, and/or recycling within the Bristol city limits.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on the motion. Is anybody clicking these? Because I can't click. Do we have a motion, or are we just?
No, this one
Okay.
has no additional motion to read.
Okay, good. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 12, award of contract 2P1855, email archival management software to GaggleNet Incorporated, and authorization for mayor or acting mayor to execute all necessary documents.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 13, approval for city to enter into lease with Terryville Polish American Political Club Incorporated for 1.48 acre property on easterly side of Bushnell Street on land reserved and managed by the Bristol Water Department. And this one does have a motion to read.
I can do that, Your Honor. I move that the City of Bristol enter into a lease with the Terryville Polish American Political Club Incorporated for use of a 1.4 acre piece of property on the easterly side of Bushnell Street on lands which are reserved for and managed by the Bristol Water Department. Said lease term is for 25 years, terminating on September 30th, 2042, with the initial rent rate being $649.62, increased by 1% per year thereafter. I further move the mayor or acting mayor be authorized to execute the lease on behalf of the City of Bristol. And just for the record, I do want to say this is a renewal of a lease. This is not something terribly new and exciting. Is there a second?
Second.
You're not the mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Hearing, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Would the acting mayor like to do the next agenda item?
Better be careful, your mother's going to shut down the meeting.
No.
Item 14, award of contract for professional services relative to remediation at 894 Middle Street to Down to Earth LLC for $258,130.33, and authorization for mayor or acting mayor to execute any necessary documents, or all necessary documents.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on the motion. And just for clarification, this is a reassignment of an existing contract because we are looking to stay with the LEP that was assigned to this project to begin with, but has changed companies. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 15, approval to submit grant application to Dr. Pepper Snapple, Keep America Beautiful Park Recycling Infrastructure Grant Program, and authorization for mayor or acting mayor to execute any necessary documents and referral to Board of Finance.
Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion on the motion for the grant application. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 16, to authorize the mayor or acting mayor to execute contract amendment with Schultz Corporation to increase contract 2C18-1, roadway construction at Center Square for $81,949 to supply and install electrical chambers and telecommunication conduit.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion on the motion.
We just get a clarification as to what's going on with this, as to,
Certainly.
are these additional?
Yep, we'll have the Public Works Director answer the question.
During the design of the project, we were working with all the utilities to try to get them and lay them in, but we weren't able to do that, so we worked with them afterwards. We're still working with Eversource on gas, but this is some additional work for some utilities in the road as part of that construction.
You didn't know that this had to be done, or it wasn't
Well, we
part
knew
of-
it had to be done, it was just we weren't able to coordinate getting him into the roadway before we awarded the contract.
Thank you.
Any further questions for the Public Works Director? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 17, to clarify the action taken at the January 9th, 2018 City Council meeting regarding the Senior Volunteer Tax Relief Pilot Program by adopting the resolution and waiving the reading of the resolution, but to include it as part of the minutes. So just for explanation, last month there was approval of the program, but the resolution wasn't read, so that if at any point they need to certify it, we can't certify it for any organization, so.
Okay. So tonight, what would you like us to do?
Actually, you can, if you waive the reading, if someone makes the motion, you've waived the reading of the resolution, the only thing is you'll take a roll call vote.
Your Honor, I waive the reading of the resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then if we can have a roll call vote?
Oh, right, resolution. Starting with Councilman Kelly.
Yes.
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 And chair votes yes.
Item 18 is to rescind the resolution from the January 9th, 2018 City Council meeting regarding the Historic Restoration Fund Grant with the Connecticut State Historic Preservation Office and adopting the amended resolution for the Historic Restoration Fund Grant. And there is a new resolution that's listed there, so it would be to, again, rescind that resolution. The difference between this month and last month is that it authorized the City Council to enter into a contract, and the City Council doesn't enter into a contract, it's the city, the corporation that does that. So that's where the wording was changed.
So I make a motion that we rescind last month's resolution and enter the following. Be it resolved that Ellen A. Zappo-Sassu, who is the mayor of the city of Bristol, is empowered to execute and deliver in the name and on behalf of this corporation a certain contract with the State of Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development, and to affix the corporate seal, if any. It was also voted to refer this matter to the Board of Finance for any necessary action, so that continues to be part of this resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion on the motion. Okay, resolution is a roll call vote, starting on my far left.
Yes.
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 And the chair votes yes.
Number 19 is to refer the proposed conveyance and land swap of land on Jennings Terrace with the Bristol Emergency Shelter and Housing Coalition Incorporated to the Real Estate Committee and Planning Commission.
So moved.
Is there a second? Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 20, to refer to the Salary Committee, the automobile clause contained in the employment agreement between the City of Bristol and the Fire Chief.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 21, approval of tax assessment freeze application for Loop or Lupe LLC, I'm sorry if I pronounce it incorrectly, Luis Barros and Peter Zachichi, owners of 86 Summer Street, Bristol, for the rehabilitation of a blighted property with the restoration of a 5-family structure per Bristol Code of Ordinances, Section 5-57.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 22, approval of tax assessment freeze application for Boogie LLC, Dennis Boogie, owner of 38 Chestnut Street, Bristol, for the rehabilitation of a blighted property with the restoration of a 2-family structure per Bristol Code of Ordinances, Section 5-57.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 23, approval to submit application for state-of-the-art transportation training opportunity sponsored by Transportation for America, and authorization for mayor or acting mayor to execute any documents with referral to Board of Finance.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on the motion?
I did want to ask if the date can be provided to our Transportation Commission once that date is known for this event.
Okay. We can make note of that. Or you could do a secondary referral back to the Transportation Committee. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And the next two items are executive sessions. It's the executive session to discuss the matter of City of Bristol versus U.S. Bank docket number CVHHB 17603-5850. And the other executive session is to discuss the matter of City of Bristol versus Deutsche Bank, document number CVHHB 15603-1085.
Attorney Cliff, will you let us know who's going into our executive sessions, please?
Everybody. No. I guess so. Attorneys Collins, Stieg, Lacey, and myself.
Okay. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
The city council will be in executive session for an undisclosed amount of time, and hopefully we'll see some of you when we come back out. I'd like to ask for a motion to reconvene into public session.
So moved.
So moved.
And let the record show that no votes were taken in executive session. Are there any motions to come forward? Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on the motion to adjourn? Josh?
Have a good night.
Anything else you'd like
No,
to?
I'm good.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.